I was asked that in this week's mailbag. If all we get, you could sign up for a guaranteed wild card game at PNC Park, which would be in a 3-game series over these next 4 years. You get one, or you got to say no to that on the hope for something better. On the hope for something better. Limits says he'll sign up for the wild card game. I've decided I want something better than that.
I'm glad you said that because I full-heartedly agree, thinking back on it in the break. And we're just hoping for the wild card, and they don't go like any further than that.
I know, but what about wild card or nothing? I mean, wouldn't the way the last wild card, or I guess the first wild card game went, wouldn't you sign up for that, just one of them?
Yeah.
It is tempting.
Yeah.
Although that also wouldn't be a winner-take-all wild card necessarily.
Now,
That's different.
Are we putting limits on this? No pun intended.
You certainly are, but yes.
Where, like, if they make the wild card, we're saying that, like, that's the peak. That, like, they could still win the wild card.
Yeah, they could advance.
Okay.
I guess we're doing that. But just generally speaking, in order for the Skenes era to be a success, which is a little bit of a different question, they've got to do more than that. My God, they have a generational talent on their hands here. It's got to be a run, a legit run, at least have get to the National League Championship Series and give the Dodgers or somebody a great fight. To me, if you don't get that far, this whole era is a total failure.
So let me ask you this. How would you define 13, 14, 15 looking back on it 10 years now? Was that defined as a success? Like full on in that 3-year window where they only won one series?
Yes. A different set of circumstances. Those Pirates led us out of a 20-year wilderness of just baseball. What's the opposite of nirvana? Hades. Baseball Hades is what we were living in for 20 years. 20 years. That group ushered us out of the wilderness. It was practically biblical what they did. And they gave us a game. All I have to tell you is that Ron Cook worked here for 100 years and covered everything under the sun and says the greatest event he ever covered was that wild card game. This wouldn't be the same for many reasons. It'd be great, but if this is all we get, it just would not be the same. Yes, that was a success. It waned sort of by the third wild card game. You were like, this again? This sort of sucks, but you can never take away what that group did.
No, not at all. And 13, 14 would be in that category for me. 15, I separate the 15 team because that team, I think, full-heartedly, if they had a series on their hands to play, would have won the World Series, or at least would have gotten to the World Series. They were that deep, that loaded, and they were built for a series, not a one-game wild card against Jake Arrieta, pitching as one of the best pitchers of all time in the second half.
Win the division, then, is what I would suggest.
Yeah, they came one game short.
Which they haven't done since 1992.